Oh, sorry, Dr. Kane, I'm showing time.
As it is 5:15 p.m. on Thursday, April 10th, I will call the meeting to order. As is customary during the annual reorganization meeting of the Board of Education, the superintendent presides over the meeting until the board officers are in fact elected. Once the board president and vice president are elected, I will then turn the meeting over to the board president to continue the meeting. The first item on our agenda is item 1.01, verification of unofficial election results. I ask that Mrs. Mary LePack, Chief Communications Officer, provide the unofficial election results for the April 8th, 2025 election.
Thank you, Dr. Kane, and good evening, members of the Board of Education. On Election Day, voters in the Rockwood School District decided upon candidates for 2 open seats on the Board of Education. In St. Louis County, turnout was 14.06%. In Jefferson County, turnout was 8.7%. And in Rockwood, at least for those in St. Louis County, 13.99% of our district patrons who are registered voters turned out to vote. For comparison's sake, last April, Rockwood turnout was 16.5%, and in April of 2023, it was just over 24%. The unofficial election results posted by St. Louis County and Jefferson County show that Dr. Mara Voracek-Warren and Sarah Boyer have received the most votes for the open seats. Unofficial election results are as follows and are not official until certified by the counties. With both county totals combined, Sarah Boyer received 9,077 votes, which is 49.41% of the vote. Dr. Mara Voracek-Warren received 7,733 votes, or 42.09% of the vote. And Izzy Imig received 1,556 votes, representing 8.47%. There were also 6 write-in votes in Jefferson County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. LePack. Moving on to item 1.02, administer the oath of office to new board members. Mrs. Boyer, if you would just join me just actually in front of where you are seated right now. Solemnly swear that I, Sarah Boyer, am at least 24 years of age. I am a citizen of the United States. And a resident taxpayer of the Rockwood R6 School District. In the state of Missouri. And that I will support. The constitutions of the United States. And of the state of Missouri. And that I will abide by. And uphold. The Rockwood R6. School District Board Member Code of Ethics. And will faithfully. Demean myself in office. Congratulations. One more picture.
want a picture with them?
Okay, the next item is item 1.03, the reorganization of the board member officers. Please review, and you should have it placed in front of you, the election process memo. And as an overview, in a moment, I will open the nominations for board president. You may nominate yourself or another member of the board. Nominations do not need a second. Nominations can, in fact, be declined. Voting will take place in order of the nomination. Once there is a pause in the announcement of nominations, I will ask for a motion to close nominations. Once we have a second and any necessary discussion, I will ask Mrs. Sadowski to conduct a roll call vote to close nominations. We will then proceed with a vote on each nomination. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. First up, item 1.04 is the election of board president. So the first election this evening will be for the office of the president of the Board of Education. Nominations are now open for president.
Dr. Kane, I nominate Lynn Midyett for president.
Lynn Midyett is nominated. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing no further nominations, I need a motion to close the nominations for the office of president of the Rockwood Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close nominations for board president. Any further discussion? Mrs. Sadowski, would you please conduct a roll call vote to close nominations for the board president?
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan?
Yes.
Dr. Voracek-Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Midyett?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed to the election. The candidate for board president is Mrs. Lynn Midyett. So the election will be conducted by roll call. Can I have a motion to approve Lynn Midyett as president of the Rockwood School District Board of Education?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Janet, will you conduct the roll call vote? If you are in favor of electing Lynn Midyett, please respond by saying yes. If you do not wish to elect Lynn Midyett, please respond no, and you may also abstain. Janet, please
Mrs.
conduct
Boyer?
the vote.
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan?
Yes.
Dr. Voracek-Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Midyett?
Yes.
Motion carries.
The results are as follows. There were 7 votes in favor of Lynn Midyett and 0 votes opposed for Lynn Midyett. There were 0 abstentions. Lynn Midyett has received a majority of the votes cast and is declared the president. So item 1 point, congratulations. Item 1.05 is the election of board vice president. We will follow the same process for the office of vice president of the board. Nominations are now open for vice president. Tammy Romberg is nominated. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing no further nominations, I need a motion to close the nominations for the office of Vice President of the Rockwood Board of Education.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to close nominations for Board Vice President. Any further discussion? Janet, would you please conduct a roll call vote to close nominations for Board Vice President?
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan? Dr. Voracek-Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Midyett?
Yes.
The motion carries.
So we will now proceed with the election. The candidate for vice president of our board is Tammy Romberg. Can I have a motion to approve Tammy Romberg as vice president of the Rockwood School District Board of Education?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Janet, will you conduct the roll call? And if you are in favor of electing Tammy Romberg, please respond yes. If you do not wish to elect Tammy Romberg, please respond no, and you may also abstain. Janet, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Milligan? Yes. Dr. Voracek-Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Midget?
Yes.
The motion carries.
So the result of the vote is as follows. There were 7 votes in favor of Tammy Romberg and 0 votes opposed. There were 0 abstentions. Tammy Romberg has received a majority of the votes cast and is declared elected vice president. Congratulations. At this time, I will yield the gavel to President Midget, our board president, to continue with the reorganization meeting.
You saw the job, he doesn't want it.
So we are at 1.06 in the election of the treasurer. The motion is that the Chief Financial Officer, Cindy Boyes, continue to serve as the treasurer of the Rockwood School District for the 25-26 fiscal year.
Do you need a motion?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
You need to do a roll call vote.
Oh, you're right. Roll call, please.
Dr. Voracek-Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan? Ms. Romberg? Mrs. Midget?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Next is the election of the secretary to the Board of Education. And the motion is that Janice Sadowski continue to serve as the secretary to the Board of Education for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan? Dr. Voracek-Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg? Mrs. Midget?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Sorry, Janet.
So that was the most important vote we took tonight, I just want to say. 1.08, authorization to continue use of the current signature plate. The motion is to authorize the district to continue the use of the current signature plate until new plates bearing the signature of the 2025-2026 president and treasurer are received.
So moved.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan? Dr. Voracek-Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg? Mrs. Midget?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. 1.09, and discussion of new board member orientation procedures. So, we have reorganized a little bit here and where we sit, and we also have a mentor, and we talked about that. That's Carrie, and she will be meeting with you and going over. We also have some mentoring information on the in our board docs under the board information in the library.
Okay.
So I think you're going to be meeting with Janet on Monday to kind of get started, and she'll show you how to get through that and where to go and what to look for and all that. What questions do you have?
I think right now I'm just gonna listen and learn, and then I'm sure I will have 1,000,001, but
Yeah. So Monday, we'll really get you started with
Yeah.
Janet. She knows most everything.
everything, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Kara, and any time, you can come to any of us for support or help if you have specific
Yeah.
questions. We're a very collegial group, and we really take a lot of time and effort to support each other.
Awesome.
All right. We're going to now move to 1.10, Code of Ethics. And the motion is that the current board members reaffirm their commitment to the Code of Ethics.
So moved.
And discussion, and I think during discussion, we go through and
Yes.
read the Code of Ethics. So if
Everybody has a
would
copy.
pull up the copy that you have. And I'm going to ask Bob to start with us, and Sarah, what we do is just we just go through and round robin, line by line. Okay?
How many do you want me to read? Just one or two or?
Just one.
Just one? The purpose of the Board of Education is, one, to govern and control the affairs of the district as provided by law.
2, to discover and interpret the educational needs, attitudes, and interests throughout the district as a guide to developing and setting priorities for an educational program.
3, to exercise judgment in reviewing, considering, and voting on district-wide policies affecting the operation of the schools.
4, to oversee the management and fiscal control of the schools as provided by law, and to review, evaluate, and judge the effectiveness of the educational program.
The role of members of the Board of Education are, 1, to recognize that it is the responsibility of the board to see that schools are properly administered, not to administer them.
2, to hold the superintendent and designee responsible for the implementation of board policies and the administration of the district.
3, to give the superintendent designee authority commensurate with his/her responsibility.
4, to vote on board matters only after considering the recommendation of the superintendent or designee and any interested citizens.
5, to maintain a working rapport with other members of the board and the superintendent.
6, to respect and encourage the right of others to hold and express opinions.
7, to support the board once a legal decision has been made by a majority vote.
8, to avoid inappropriate or disparaging remarks in or out of board meetings about other board members or their opinions.
9, to realize that the responsibilities are district-wide.
10, to recognize that authority rests with the board in legal session and no individual board member has legal authority to request action from the staff or to otherwise speak or act on behalf of the board, with the exception of the board president.
11, to avoid any comments which may be interpreted as undermining the decisions of the board or the administration of the district.
12, to assure that special committees, when appointed, have a well-defined objective and there is understanding that the committee serves in an advisory capacity.
13, to be respectful, fair, just, impartial, and honest in all decisions and actions.
14, to uphold all applicable laws, rules, policies, and regulations, and comply with all laws, rules, policies, and regulations as they apply to the board.
15, to maintain a professional decorum when discussing school matters in or out of board meetings, including, but not limited to, refraining from making disparaging or inappropriate comments regarding students, staff, or the Rockwood community.
In addition, members of the Board of Education will, 1, work through the superintendent or designee and his or her staff, not over or around them.
2, support the superintendent's or designee's efforts to appoint the most qualified persons as employees of the district.
3, reinforce the efforts of the superintendent or designee and the staff so they may perform their assigned responsibilities in the most effective manner.
4, provide the superintendent or designee counsel as requested or required.
5, make every effort to keep all citizens informed about the quality and condition of public school education in the district.
6, initiate and implement all efforts to secure adequate financial support for the district.
7, assure that all transactions of the district are ethical, open, and above board.
8, conduct activity in alignment with the board's policies and regulations and the vision, mission, and core values of the district.
9, fulfill all professional duties with honesty and integrity and always act in a trustworthy and responsible manner.
10, support the principle of due process and protect the civil and human rights of all individuals.
Board members will affirm their commitment to this code of ethics at the first board meeting in April when new board members take their oath of office.
Thank you. One point 11 is readoption of policy and regulation 0342.
President Midyat, we need to take a
I'm sorry.
vote on that
Roll
last
call,
one.
please.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan?
Yes.
Dr. Voracek Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg?
Yes.
Ms. Midyat?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now we have 1.11, readoption of policy and regulations 0342, nepotism, conflict of interest, and financial disclosure.
Need a motion? So
Motion?
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Milligan?
Yes.
Dr. Voracek Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Bachert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Midyat?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now, we're at the fun part. Board standing committees and assignments. So you should have something that describes the different committees that the board supports, participates, or leads.
Mrs. Mignette, I'd like to remain as a delegate to MSBA.
Okay?
Are we going to go down?
Yeah.
Them?
We'll
Okay.
we'll do MSBA first. That's how it follows on here as well. Phil?
I would be happy to stay.
Okay. And in the past, we've had an additional person do
We
that.
get
We've
3
had
votes, that's why.
3 votes. So is there anyone else?
I would be happy
Okay.
to serve in that capacity.
Any other questions or comments about MSBA? The next committee on the list is the Policy Review Committee.
Madam President, I'd like to remain on that committee if possible.
Absolutely. And typically, Janet, do we have one person or more than?
Just one
Just
board
one?
member.
Okay. Special School District Governing Council, this is one person and then one alternate, but there's only one vote. So only one vote.
Madam President, I would like to remain in the role.
Okay. Phil, you,
I'm happy to,
somewhat,
unless someone else really.
Sarah?
Yes, I cannot do that one.
No. Yeah. Sorry.
We know you're passionate about
Okay,
it.
so-
We will reach out to you when we have questions.
And I don't want to.
So Phil, you
The
want to?
line's clear.
Okay, good. Okay. Next is Communications, Outreach, and Public Engagement, COPE Committee. And last year, Carrie, Tammy served, but we typically have 3.
I would like to remain on the committee, please.
I would continue with that.
Anyone else? It's one of the,
Madam President, I will take the 3rd spot if no one else would like it.
Okay.
So.
Recognition and Awards, RAP Committee. It meets 3 times a year, in alignment with the board award ceremonies. So, one person, right?
Yes.
One person.
I would be interested in doing that one.
Okay, perfect. And then the next committee is the Wellness, which meets 3 to 4 times a year. And again, this is typically, it's been a one person on this
I'd like to
board.
remove from that.
Okay. Scratch Tammy. So Sarah, if you're wondering, typically the board president, we don't participate
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Tammy, can you give us some insight into being on that committee?
On the wellness,
Mhm.
it's working with the nutrition in them as far as what's happening in the district.
Okay.
It's not a high stress position,
Mhm.
but it is informative. It's informative, especially for our kids.
Well, if no one else will sign up, I will take it this go round.
Okay. And then the Capital Planning Advisory Committee, which was a new committee from last year we started. Bob has taken that lead on that, but Maura, were you on that as well?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to remain on it.
Maura, would,
I would rather, when we get to it, can be considered for advocacy.
okay. All righty. So
Sure.
Bob?
I got it.
Okay. And the last one is, yes, the last one is the Advocacy Committee. We have
President Moore, oh,
Typical 3 people.
President
Yeah.
Minier, I'd like to continue with
Yeah.
that committee.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed being on it, but if someone else wants to join in,
Well, we have
that's
we
fine.
have
We have 3.
three.
But if anyone else wants to be on it, I'm fine.
I would like to be considered for that
Okay.
one, yes.
Yeah, I would like to be considered as well, but
I will step back.
Okay.
Yep. I'll be there in support.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you for your commitment to the work that the board does and the district. It was great. Thank you so much. 2.01, and the motion is to go into closed session to discuss legal actions, causes of actions, or litigation, real estate, personnel, and preparation for negotiations with employee groups.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Or discussion? Any discussion about that? If not, roll call.
Dr. Voracek Warren?
Yes.
Mrs. Buckert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer?
yes.
Mr. Cadigan?
Yes.
Mr. Milligan?
Yes.
Ms. Romberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Midget?
Yes.
The motion carries.